Bellaire, Lanoux, City of Grant, serve on the City Council. And I want to thank the board here today. It's always a pleasure to speak to you people. You take good minutes. You don't edit your video. I mean, if you don't like what somebody says, you play it in its entirety. And I'd like to thank Manager Waller. He came and spoke at our City Council recently addressing grants. And he witnessed a fairly dysfunctional City Council meeting, I suppose. It's pretty similar to all of ours. That being said, it's a pleasure to speak here today. Because when he come and spoke, just as when I've added issues in our City Council, if the majority does not wish to address it, they simply ignore it. And so today I'm here to ask you to talk about the 3M settlement that's recently been done. Now, I wrote to Lori Swanson, Attorney General, asked that grant be considered in that settlement prior to their settling. What happened was they settled before they went through a long legal process. That being said, the reason I asked that 3M be or consider the City of Grant is the documentation I have today shows that we had a Grant Township 3M dump site in Grant. It's on the edge of your watershed. We also had what was also a Superfund site number, the Bellaire Sanitation Superfund site. That is your watershed. Both of these had materials that were dumped by 3M. Lake Elmo had their dump that the county built out there. It was only open 5.5 to 6 years until they contaminated the water source out there. Badly enough, they closed the dump and they had to provide public water for the surrounding homes. Part of the VIC program, the voluntary incentive clean up that Bellaire Sanitation did not require PFC testing. And PFCs are what the 3M settlement is about. So there's been no testing there. The members of the Johnson family have spoken in front of large groups saying that 3M has dumped both at the Bellaire Sanitation site, and of course we know that you got a Superfund site. It's called the Grant 3M dump site, and our city has chosen to ignore it. So I ask that this board move forward into this settlement simply to ask that there be PFC testing at the Bellaire site. There be PFC testing at the 3M site, because part of that watershed over there, where that is, does flow back into your watershed. It all goes downhill to Lost Lake, which ends up in White Bear Lake, which is part of your watershed. So I ask that that be looked at seriously. One of the things that I'm going to bring to you and give to you copies today is a future development that's being proposed on that Bellaire site. Now, recently we've had testing out there, and it's still proven that there are toxins that exceed residential levels. They haven't determined all of them that are there, and that's why in asking for a funds to establish if there's PFCs, I would also ask that you determine where the plume has traveled. In that site, it's been determined that PFCs are water soluble, so they move. And of course, they move with water, which is part of your concern. So I'd ask that you determine what PFCs are there available, where is the plume traveling, because as they come in front of you and ask to bring in another elementary school on a Superfund site, and currently they're looking to put a hockey rink on there, we know there are toxins that are hazardous that exceed residential levels. It's already been determined. So I want to ask you to look forward into that. And as you do your permitting process, I would ask this body that previously we did a parking lot reconstruction. You guys put a cap rock on it. I would ask that you be the last permitting agency, because you guys act as a silo. You say, well, it's met all our guidelines. And yet you send off and ask the Department of Health and the MPCA, well, let's make them aware what's going on. But none of these bodies are talking to each other. If they had, you would not probably have put that parking lot improvement in. Or at least you'd have been aware of some of the toxins that exist. So I'd ask that when you are in line, that you are probably one of the last to issue that final permit for your watershed, because you want to know what's in there before you issue the permit, because the other ones really don't look at these close. Government agencies don't hold each other accountable. So on that, I will give you a copy of what I had. It shows that there's future development for a hockey arena. And just for the last thing I'd like to say is, recently at a convention here, CD6, I'm going to read you the resolution that they just passed, Resolution 33. It says, prohibit the construction of schools on or near former landfill dump sites, and require parental notification of parents of any existing schools built near former landfills. Senate File 1837 and House File 2097 defines near to be within a quarter mile of a brownfield reclaimed site. So we know this is happening, and I want to thank your body. I understand you will be looking at this in a workshop. I wanted to let you know that both Councilman Cedarstrom and myself has signed up to be an advisory on an advisory committee for the 3M settlement, because our city simply chooses to act as an ostrich and ignore the fact. And I hope that this body does not do that. And I hope that if put on that committee and you come and ask for funding, that we can explain that, yes, I'm not asking you for monies. Mr. Waller explained that we should be coming and asking for some of our money back that we put in, as we pay into the watershed if we have an issue. But without a council that's willing to move forward, I ask that this body protect the citizens of Grant. And I want to thank you for looking at the workshop. If you need any further information.
Thank you, Larry. And I just want to say for the record that we did notify you that it's going to be on our May 7th workshop. So
yes.
We are going to attend.
Yes, I just want to be here and have it on public record
Okay.
because workshops aren't routinely taped.
Yeah, it's all recorded. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thank you. And I'll
All right.
give you a copy of this to show that they're going to move another elementary school on that site and a hockey arena. And once again,
We will
please
take
be
it.
the last body to permit that until once you've seen what the
discuss it
department
then,
does.
and it'll be a board decision.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.